All right, here we are. We have a legend. We have a local legend in the house today. Legend to me. Legend to me. His name, the man, the myth. Not a legend yet, is he? Is he?
No, there's
Not
no
yet?
legend.
Yeah, you are.
No.
Mike Imprevento, right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Mike K.
Hey,
Welcome
if
to the
Tony
jungle.
says so, I'm all about it.
Let me tell everybody something.
My
real quick.
hero over here.
A couple of things I'm doing. One thing is I'm introducing a really good friend of mine. Hard locking this dude down, man. This is like the third time. Very busy, very active. He has a phenomenal radio show. Really well respected in the community. Has been serving the community in one way or another for decades, going all the way back to veteran. He's a veteran, so he's in the military. Here I am speaking for him, like I'm your narrator.
No, he does a better job than I would.
I'm like Morgan Freeman over here, narrating your life.
It's okay.
But so the reason why I'm wearing my Hell's Angel shirt today, and the reason why I'm very proud of being in my club and being with this man right here, is because, Kristen, you know, I've told you, but I'll tell you again. This is the first guy who believed in me enough to, as a Hell's Angel back then, where I really wasn't doing anything more than just trying to get by in life.
Yep.
He's the first guy, you and your wife, Yolanda, were the first people to actually put their faith in me and believe in me enough to make me or become a partner with me to be able to make all this happen.
In the restaurant.
So the original OG
Supporter.
of Luce Norfolk and I, he's the original guy that started it. Me being a Hell's Angel at the time, a little down on my luck, just working, trying to get through, trying to be doing the right thing. Like I said, this man, thank you again, put his faith in it, and he didn't have much of a chance after we started because it was just fucking snowballing, and everything went to hell there. But thank you very much, sir. That's why you're
welcome.
here. That's why I'm wearing my shirt. It's a tribute.
No, I
love it all, man.
You know, I've been in the two-wheel community for a long time, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for your club. Going back from when I was in New York and the legendary New York Hells Angels Clubhouse and Chuck Zito and the whole group. I grew up with that stuff, and I totally you people mean a lot to me because I know the actual truth about you all, and you're just really good people who in large part I find incredibly intelligent. I'm a lawyer, and I some of the smartest people I ever met are in your club, and you're included.
Yeah, well,
here's the deal. I knew a little bit about who you were, and word of mouth was he's really good. He's a chef, but he can't find people are scared, you know.
Because a lot.
They don't want you know he's Hell's Angel. I'm not going to get in business. But I knew, plus I was doing a service to the community because you were trying to make ends meet, and I didn't want you to go into a 7-Eleven with a mask on.
Yeah, right. Save the briefcase for later.
Yeah, he's telling me, I got a briefcase and a mask, and I don't want to have to use it. I said, you won't have to use it. So my wife and I wanted to get into the restaurant business. I've always loved food. I've always loved cooking. I'm an Italian from, my family's from Calabria.
In which we will talk about.
Yes, and I was always about it. I love to cook. And I'm
he's
like,
a good
this guy, he's got something. And the thing that I noticed at the time, and not, having somewhat of a notion of street smarts, he's got drive. And when you met with Yolanda and I, it was at the law firm, and you came up there and you had your colors on and everything, didn't bother us at all, sat down. You told us what your passion was, and you said failure's not an option. Now, when you say failure's not an option, I took it to heart. Yeah. Restaurants, 1, 2 out of 10?
Yeah.
Especially with the jadruls that open them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them that really are, they're way above their skis. They're way in front of their skis. They just can't do it.
They can't.
But I knew you could, especially because of Fat Fuck Sundays at the clubhouse. I got a lot of great input.
Yeah,
I got a lot of great input from Big and Little Tony.
So we had Fat Fuck Sundays. So what happened is every Sunday at the clubhouse back then, we'd all get together and I'd cook the pasta and we'd sit around and we'd eat pasta and do the whole thing. We'd break the bread and drink wine and just be together as a family. We still do that, but not as often as a Fat Fuck Sunday. So we called it Fat Fuck Sunday because you weren't walking out of there skinny.
With your
no.
If you did, you weren't invited back.
No, and it was, let me tell you, the reviews I got were, geez, everything he makes is amazing. So we decided, you know what, let's do this. And what was good about Tony is the resourcefulness. We opened up Luce in Norfolk with it was decent money, but it wasn't that much.
Compared to what it takes is minimal.
Yeah, exactly.
Below minimal.
And you had some people that were friends of the club that were good with a hammer, and we put it together. Yep. I was never. I just want to say I have total respect for what you do, but I don't have the personality for the restaurant business.
What do you mean? The first night we were there, you want to kill three
You're like
people?
warm and
I wanna
fuzzy
kill-
all the
I'm like,
time.
I thought I was a bad guy.
I
What
don't
happened?
know, because
this
there were
fucking
people
guy
that
outta
walked
here,
in
he
there.
says.
There were people that walked in there, and I'm a lawyer who hates lawyers. Okay, I don't like lawyers, but I am one because it's all I knew how to do, and I wanted to make my grandfather proud. So the lawyers come in there, the ones that I was just in court fighting with, and they bring their fucking wives in there, and they start complaining about the this drink is not strong enough. Yeah, well, because you're a fucking alcoholic. That's why it's not strong enough. If I gave you the bottle, you wouldn't like it.
Right.
And then, they would leave a couple of bielers of pasta in there, and I said, what, you don't like it? And they did like it, but they didn't want to eat it all. But I would send Tony. I would send the Hells Angels chapter president to be nice to the people. And here I am. I don't want to be nice to them. I don't like it. And it was it's such a grind.
A hospitality business is very hard to like.
Very hard.
You have to have a passion for it.
And I didn't.
It's something you have
except
to-
for the food and Tony and his crew. And outside the food, I'm not a people person. I'm a miserable prick.
And you're not the only one who will say that.
It's on his website. It's a tagline on the website.
Is it?
Yeah, I can't help it. So I'm like, this guy is amazing. We did it. You did it. And I stayed out of your way. That was the key, was to stay out of his way. Let him do it. And before you know it, we got a menu with the real deal. Your Regan goose is still a thing. And the whole idea was to just cut you loose. And the people that you had run with knew that you were on the move. They knew that you were opening up a place. It kind of rattled them a little bit because they knew failure wasn't an option when you're involved. And it wasn't. My wife and I were gladly, for 3 years, we managed the main part of the bank, but you did everything else. And after a while, like I told you, it was going to be yours. It's not for me.
Well,
If it was for me, the place would have been out of business because I'd have had people throwing through the door.
Yeah. And let me tell you, without all that starting, dude, we would not be sitting in here. So you had a huge influx in all this. This is yes, of course, I opened up this one. I moved on and everything, but it wouldn't have started without that. So
No, but
think about this. Think about all the times, the shit we had to go through because I was a Hell's Angel. The city, the fucking law, the ABC commission, the lawyer of the city, everybody, just because I was who I was.
That's where I helped.
Didn't want to.
That's where he helped as a lawyer. There would have been no fucking way they would have given me anything. It was such a bias. It was such a bias situation.
that little dust up over the clubhouse in Norfolk or whatever.
Well,
Let's not cry over spilt milk. But it was no. I directly. I had litigated with the city attorney's office for a long time. I knew the city attorney and the mayor, and I basically told them, "This is a good guy who's talented. Granby Street needs this now." It was a good time to be on Granby Street because everything was starting to build up. They were putting apartments around. I said, he's going to bring people, and I got this. I'm going to answer for what happens in the beginning. Chief of police comes up to me and goes, we're going to keep an eye on it. I said, what the fuck you think it's going to be?
Yeah. Well,
You
now
come
he
in and
knows.
eat some food. Now he knows. And I said, you do what you got to do. He said, no, I don't mean it that way. I said, this is going to work. It's going to be good for the city. And they didn't get in the way. No. That's one thing. Yeah, we helped with the startup money. We also helped with interface with the city. But then you took it from there. You fit right in. They knew, hey, this guy is not a risk.
Not at all. So right now it'd be a risk if I were to leave the city.
Yeah, exactly. I love this.
Now the city of Norfolk ended up in the end where we are now is a very good relationship. So I'm really well into it. The Civic League, all them people downtown who help me out and stand behind me now, I stand behind them, and it's a really, really good relationship as far as me as a business owner and a business personality with the downtown community. So the differences between who I am as a person and who I am as a Hells Angel are two totally different things, but not really. I'm still a good person in both worlds. It's just a matter of I'm a professional, period. And I don't have time to fuck around, and I don't have time for people's daydreams, and I don't have time for people's fantasies and their bullshit stories. You're either going to produce, or you're going to be on board, or I'm going to move on. And that's the way it is, man. And it has nothing to do with being in a club or anything like that. This just has to do with being a man who's going to not take shit,
Right, exactly.
So, now that I get on my motorcycle, I ride the damn thing. I've been riding. She'd been riding well before I was in the club. I was riding with her. She has her own bike and her license. So
awesome.
We were friends back then. She was riding. So this goes all the way back. And you ride, when you say you ride in the two-wheel world, you ride hard. You had one of the fastest bikes around for a while, that dresser you had.
Yeah, I was. I raced. I had a land speed record at Maxton. Yeah.
Right. That's a huge thing. So we're not talking about a guy who just rides around.
No.
I mean, you hold records for speed on a Harley Davidson V-twin. So
I did, yeah.
That you did. And now that time has changed because technology has changed is the only reason that record was broken, I feel. Because at that time, that was raw motor.
It was all motor, and a lot of money went into it, and a lot of technology. And your crew knows what it takes to get horsepower out of a V-twin. This was the twin
everything.
cam. It was one of the first 120 motors, and I really enjoyed doing that.
And it was
that's
on a
how
street
I
glide.
met.
It
was actually
an electric glide, wasn't it?
one of the Bayside Harley mechanics and I sort of invented the street glide, and I'll just say that. It's not like Al Gore inventing the internet, and I'm not going that far, but we took an electric glide and we slammed it, and we blacked it out, and we put a lot of horsepower on it, so it looked like a street glide.
Sure.
And I took that to Maxton, and I'm sure that they've beat that. They moved to Ohio, but at the time it was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't your average lawyer. I really loved it, and that's how I met some of you folks, because the Hells Angels drag racing is legendary.
Yep.
And that's just something that we clicked with, and I know your world and I respect it. And this was it was just great. I mean, Yolanda and I look at each other and go, two things. We unleashed somebody very important in the community who understands Italian food and the real Italian food, and we did a good thing. I mean, that's what Yolanda and I do. I mean, we help people, and we do it because we believe in them, and I think it worked out great here. I mean, we love this.
Yeah, I love it too.
We love that you did this.
Forever grateful on that. So let's talk about the food now. Let's get into the food, because we can talk. We both have a big conversation. We can talk all day long about stuff.
I love it.
Let's get into the food, Kristen, because that's what we need to talk about. This guy here can cook. He understands food.
We listen to your show.
Your show. Yep. And you have a podcast as well. You just kind of started up.
We do. My friend and I, Brian Lucky Luciano, is a 26-year retired Virginia Beach cop, and we've been friends for years. And we have a Sunday Gravy podcast, and it's got a little bit of traction.
I mean,
we just have fun doing it.
Sunday Gravy.
It's a great name.
And we did
Sunday
actually
Gravy,
talk about Sunday Gravy 2 weeks ago for the first time, because I made some.
So the question is this: gravy or sauce is the big debate now.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to see it on the internet now online. So it seems like sauce is starting to take back over, and people are starting to shy away from gravy. They don't like this word.
No.
What do you think?
I think that I use either sauce or sugo.
Sugo, yeah.
Yeah. I think the gravy is an Americanization.
Without a doubt. So actually, I did some research on that because of just the way I am. And where that really started is in Rhode Island. So that comes from Providence, Rhode Island, Federal Hill.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, gravy started there and then moved its way around. People in New Jersey use it a lot too.
Okay.
But it really started in Providence, made its way down. You had some guys that were, a little on the other side of the law back in the day.
Oh,
maybe.
Providence?
Hey.
Mayor Cianci? What are you kidding?
So they would.
He got indicted and got reelected.
So they would bring it down to. They would bring it down in New Jersey. That's where it kind of took off. But anyway, the gravy, to me, I'm not down with it. I don't like the word.
Nope.
It's not gravy. Gravy goes on steak or meat or fucking chicken or turkey, right?
It's
mashed potatoes.
ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good
They
brown
call
gravy.
it
But when it comes to sauce, a sugo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, let me tell you something. Every different region, you're a Calabrian. You're Calabrian by descent.
Yes.
Right? And
Mezzo Siciliano, but I never knew that side really. It's mostly Reggio Calabria.
yeah, and that's a great spot. And you're not far enough. You're close enough to Sicily there to claim it anyhow.
Yeah.
And the food and everything besides the peppers and the introduction of that capsicum, which is really popular in Calabria.
Yes.
I think they bleed it and breathe it. You know what I mean? My family's from Rome area. Father was born in Sicily, but grew up in Civitavecchia area, Rome. And so I have the best of both worlds, is what I call it, And then you get way up to northern Italy, which is the food kind of changes pretty drastically up
Yes.
there. Milan and Parma and all that, the food gets really heavy, really dense, less tomato-based, a lot more, I guess the word gravy would fit better there.
It is
Because of the ossobuco and the risotto.
more butter than oil.
Right. Well, back in the day, olive
Yeah.
oil wasn't introduced
Yeah.
up there. They didn't have olive oil up there because it was, this is a good little education here for people. So back in the day when there was, when Italy was kingdoms, they would stay within their kingdom and they would eat within their kingdom's means, right? Whatever's indigenous to their land. Well, south, olive trees needed the heat. They grew in the south. So olive oil was from the south. Didn't make its way up. So up north, they use a lot of lardo and fat and butter, and that's how they cooked. So that's why the traditions of the northern Italian food are more along the lines of that Austrian border and Germania and all that stuff from back then. Now, that is why the northern foods in Italy are so much butter laden and cooked and stuffed pastas and rolled with cheeses and mascarpone and all this stuff. That is because the olive oil wasn't even introduced to the north on the regular back then. Down south, olive oil was used because butter was the opposite, right?
That's right.
So,
Cucina povera.
yep, it's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So there's so much history coming out of Italy in Italian food that it infects the world. Affects and infects, really, because it's infectious.
And it has in many different ways. My heart is in Sicilia, in Calabria, because of the simplicity of the food. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that it's easy to get the right balance. It is an art form. And I believe in the Southern cuisine a little bit more because at my age, I'm trying to be a little bit more heart healthy after a life of abuse of pizza and destroying my arteries. But I do believe in the cucina povera of the South, the bacala, the people who salted the cod, but also stockfish, which is a cod prepared a different way. And they take such pride. Last time my daughter and I were there, we bought a house in a very small town.
So you're basically a resident now. You went and purchased a house in Calabria.
Yes.
And you've been going there, in which I can't wait to go out there and check out.
No,
That's
we're
gonna be our
going
next
to
trip.
have you there. And we can't wait, actually, for you to come out there with anybody you want to bring. And we met a realtor who has the same last name as my grandfather. We may be related. So here's what the universe has conferred on us, maybe because we did good things with you, and my wife and I did good things with saving animals and helping people, that I walk into a realtor in Saderno in Calabria, where my grandfather's from.
Just on a whim. You just picked
On a
one
whim,
out.
we picked this one. My daughter picked it. We walk in cold, sit down, and the senora comes out. And she doesn't speak English because she's Italian, for God's sakes. And she starts talking. My daughter speaks a little bit. I speak a little bit. And I told her that my grandfather, Girolamo Gallia, came from Saderno. Her eyes lit up. She said, "Mi marito è Gallia." So her husband's surname is Gallia, as my grandfather. And how many of those are in Saderno? So he insists that we're distant cousins or whatever. But that immediately started it. So he took us under his wing.
Discount on the house.
Yeah, family.
No.
family
Well, a little
friendship.
bit. They took a little bit off. And he took us around, and he took care of us, and he still is. And we have a fixer there. And when we go, he took us, he was very proud. They're very proud of their food. And he took my daughter and I to a very, very famous restaurant there. And I'm embarrassed to say I forgot the name, in Mamala, which is a town a little bit south of Saderno in Calabria. And stockfish, each course was a version of stockfish. There was a pasta stockfish. Then there was a little bit of a fish carpaccio. But it was all fish. It was all incredibly healthy, but delicious. They love their oranges. They're so proud of their bergamot.
Delicious.
The bergamot
Delicious.
orange.
I'm proud of it for them.
Yeah, it is delicious. They make their own liqueurs. So you might want a little limoncello. You might want a bergamot. And, of course, they bring out the espresso. I don't know. There's something about it that clicks. And I've traveled the world with my wife. And I'm not dismissive of any cuisine because it's all part of culture.
Sure.
But there's something, it's an innate bias
I have the same thing, and
Yeah.
it's not even a question what you're saying. It's blood,
Yeah.
right?
Sanguine.
Sanguine. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the bloodline of everything, and there is nothing better to me. People can offer me to go anywhere in the world, and I'll probably always go to Italy.
And even though you could make it as good, you still want to go and have it.
But it's everything, though. It's the smell.
Yeah.
It's the aura. It's everything about it. Everything about it. The whole. It encapsulates everything that we are.
That's right.
So what you were talking about before is how people think that Italian food is easy. Good Italian food is easy.
Oh.
It's not. It's only easy when you understand it. But you have to get to understand it, and that's not easy, right?
Right.
So
the layering.
There's a million ways you can make a tomato good. There's a million ways you can take an Italian plum tomato that is really grown ripe with the sun, okay? If you cook it at the beginning of the month, it's going to be different than the end of the month on the vine. You're going to get a different flavor. If you cook it too long, you're going to get a different sweetness. If you cook it too short, you're going to get more acid.
Mm-hmm.
If you add salt at the beginning, it's going to draw liquid out more so than it would at the end. There's 100 different methods to be able to do one ingredient, and that's the best part of it. And yes, you can take tomatoes and basil and put it on your mozzarella, but when was the mozzarella made? Who made it? Where was the milk from? That's going to change the whole layer of everything you're eating.
Sure,
is
it
it a
does.
Belgioso thing? You got it thin sliced over there at the market, or is it something that we made here in the kitchen this morning?
Exactly.
There's a huge difference in that crema and all that. So
yeah, no, you're
whoever
right.
thinks Italian food is easy,
No.
they don't understand that theory.
Because part of the way in which it's constructed is to pick the ingredients and to understand what a fresh ingredient is and how to put it together and how to harmonize the flavors. And there's not many flavors. Listen, a simple tomato sauce, a little bit of butter, olive oil, maybe some garlic. Sometimes I would, if I'm in a hurry, I'll use Marcelo Hazan's. I'll take 28-ounce cans of the good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll slice an onion in half. I'll put in some 5 tablespoons of butter, some sea salt, and after 45 minutes, I got something serviceable. That's simple.
And
a couple of bay leaves, and maybe a little drop of wine. But I don't do the Siciliano sugar. I don't use sugar.
No, I don't put sugar in sauce anyway. It's a fucking.
It's a picard though.
Yeah, if you're putting
So
sugar in your sauce,
no,
please,
it's not happening.
Pay more attention to this podcast.
That's for Godfather. That's for the Godfather. When Clemenza makes the sauce, yeah.
Clemenza also, took
no,
cannolis
I
too,
value
so there you
it.
go.
I treasure it. I treasure the simplicity of the ingredients. Last time I went there, I sat under some olive trees that were ancient.
Yeah.
A lot of Calabria is Greek.
So I was in Greece. I was in Crete.
Yeah.
And in Heraklion, Greece, where Hercules is
Yes.
from, there's an olive tree there, and it's 3,000 fucking years old.
Yep.
And it's got a little bullshit fence around it, and nobody jumps over that fence. It's not even a fence. It's like a metal fucking thing. And this tree is 3,000 years old, still producing olives. And they take the olives off of that tree for one specific thing. I'm not sure exactly what it was because I speak Greek and I don't. But I was trying to follow along.
Yeah.
Anyhow, whatever was in English is what I captured there. But this tree was 3,000 years old, still making freaking fruit. How in the fuck we can't even have, look, we can't even have a street out here without a pothole in it.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing, but they revere them, see, so they respect them. And Greece has been conquered several times over the years. That tree survived World War II.
Everything.
That an occupation by the
Spartans.
Germans, a liberation by the British, civil wars.
Mhm.
There's something, it's revered. And, we stayed at this Airbnb. The place that I bought has some olive trees. I don't know how to harvest them yet or anything like that, but they told me that the trees that I was sitting under were from the mid-1800s.
No doubt. I believe it.
And they bring a guy in.
Crazy.
Yeah, they bring a crew in every November, and they harvest them and they press them. It's like the old villages where you would bring the dough and they would bake it in the central oven. Well, if you bring your olives, they'll do that first press for you.
Wow.
And I think they keep the pomace, or they keep
sure.
So it's just, I love the simplicity of it. I love the fact that for them, he told me he could tell when I got there. He said, Michele, piano, softly. He said, you're so stressed.
Relax.
When I get off the plane, he says, you have to learn, and he said it in Italian, but loosely translated, you have to learn how to live here.
Yep.
Piano. And like my daughter and I were looking around from noon to 2. We couldn't buy anything. They're all gone.
Yeah, you better be not hungry.
They're home
or have
eating
food in your hand.
They're home eating a fresh cooked meal. They're not rolling through a Burger King.
That's right.
They're home making a little pasta. And listen, they eat pasta because they walk everywhere, and to them it's moderation. They'll eat a little bit of pasta, aioli, or whatever. And
Mike, I got to be honest. I eat pasta every day.
They're not huge.
I eat pasta every day.
No, you're in great shape.
Can't help it.
No, but well, of course, because in moderation it's fine. And that's what they do. They eat fresh. They look at our ingredients and ultra-processed foods. Like in our country right now, RFK Jr. says we're going to wean everybody off of ultra-processed foods. The Hot Pocket, all that nonsense.
That's a great conversation, and we can go all day on that. But one thing I'm going to say is I think about that all the time and how nice that would be. But is it even fucking feasible with the way people eat now and don't have any expectations for what good food is? American culture has lost any type of touch with real roots of food. Italy has roots of food, flavors. Like I said, it's in our blood. We know what we like to taste. But when you grow up in an American household, you're from Midwest, Kristen, right? So when you grew up, what really is there to look forward to that Americans have?
Right? Yeah, you're used to it. And we've had this conversation before. So I'm the only person on the planet who had an Italian grandmother who couldn't cook. So I did not get the luxury of growing up with good food, unfortunately. We had very basic food. We ran a farm, so it was eat when you could. It was just basically grab shit out of the fridge, whether it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or some cereal, or if in my case, like a whole bag of Snickers. Like, they didn't regulate what I ate because we were burning it off outside.
Yeah,
so it was just my mom would make one meal a week, and that you ate that all week. So it was like a pot of spaghetti or
stew,
a pot of it was just beef and rice. I mean, that was it, and you ate that for 5 days.
But it was fresh made.
So at least some of it was fresh. But we were used to, like you said, the palate of it was, I didn't know good food until I moved to Virginia, because I had never even really eaten in a restaurant growing up. We had we had a Big Boy, a McDonald's, and that was it where we lived, because it just wasn't a culinary area, and we didn't have the heritage or the family to introduce flavors to us.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. So right on the head there. So a Hot Pocket to me is garbage in all kinds of ways. I don't like it. But however,
terrible,
it is designed and fabricated and scientifically put together to enhance every taste bud in the normal person's mouth who doesn't usually get taste.
Salt, crunch,
crunch, spice, tang, everything that's supposed to be in a fucking mouthfeel that they've never had. To them, it's good because it's
all
waking them
flavors,
up. You know what I mean?
Since when was pepperoni red?
Since when was pepperoni a meat?
I'm just saying. I mean, the Americans are eating a pepperoni pizza. They're eating God knows what red dye in a pepperoni. Yeah, I think it's generational. But my hope is that the beauty of making a meal, I find it's communication. I'm not the best communicator. I'm not warm and fuzzy. But when I make a meal for somebody and I hand it to them, it's my way of communicating.
It speaks good.
My daughter and I sometimes, I'm not as warm and fuzzy as I should be with my own Ophelia, my own daughter. But when we cook in the kitchen together and I make something for her and I give it to her, she knows it's with love. I want people to cook more.
Yeah.
I really do. There's an we're on the move, we got to run, we got to this, and I got to plan. I want people to cook more. Whatever it is, I want them to take the
fuck
time.
down a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you get back to the Sunday meals with your family, whether you're Italian or not, we're going to talk Italian all the time, but everyone listening to this isn't Italian. So a Sunday meal is a Sunday meal is a Sunday meal, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever is on your table, if people would get back to that. I've had a lot of American friends, and I've also had some American Sunday meals too. But there's nothing better, even on that note, a fucking pot roast.
Pot roast is
a boiled dinner, cabbage,
chicken on vegetables.
whatever.
Yeah.
Chicken,
a whole
roasted
chicken, roasted French style, on some cut vegetables and a salad, just to sit around the table. And the fact that you fabricated it yourself.
There's no restaurant that can match that.
No, you bought a fresh ingredient. I love the European, and this is all across Europe. I've seen it in and you've traveled the world too. You get a bag. And you buy the ingredients for a day or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you cook those fresh.
Right.
That's the way they do it.
Then you go back to the market, get your next couple meals.
Thing.
Bring it home. Yeah, you don't. There's not big refrigerators and ice boxes and all this over dramatized stuff that we have here in America. The luxuries that we have.
Food and
double French door refrigerators with the drawers, freezers and stuff. promise you that does not happen there on the normal. It does happen there. Now, don't get me wrong. In Europe and Italy and stuff like that, and in other countries, there are people who have that stuff, but it's not on the typical. The typical house is a small one-time hit, and that's a wrap. You know what I'm saying?
And they walk. It also gives them the exercise. You know, they're walking through the market, and there's nothing like walking through a market that has the vegetables and the fruits. And Anthony Bourdain used to kid around that the vegetables, the produce in Europe, particularly Italy, was so good because of all the dead Romans in the soil. But it's plenty of dead Romans,
That's
and then
the blood right there.
It's the blood. It's the you know, whatever it is, but it's true. And I remember the tomatoes. My wife goes, "Why are you getting so excited about tomatoes, for God's sake?" She said, "I'll bring a couple into the bedroom, for Christ's sake, if you're going to get that excited over a goddamn tomato."
Aphrodisiac.
Slice them up, put them on the headboard.
You know.
Don't think about baseball. Just look at the fucking tomatoes.
Tomato. I can last another 4 seconds.
Maybe.
So maybe.
And maybe 2 because you want to get the tomatoes.
I want to get to the
You'll
tomato.
fake it just so you can eat.
No, it's true. But the tomatoes and you know, like in France and places like that, they value these things. And what bothers me is a lot of Americans are very dismissive of Europeans. They're very dismissive of their food and their culture. And I think that's a mistake, because I know that we have differences about things, but they value their culture and they value it. And that's so important to them.
It's something we definitely lose here in America.
I think so.
Being from a family from overseas and also traveling all the time and always involving myself with the world happenings, I do honestly. One thing I can say is I do love America. I love being American. I love coming home every fucking time I leave, because I have the ability to experience. So I love being this as my choice. But I couldn't imagine not leaving this country or ever experiencing what goes on in another country. Even if you're going to fucking Asia or somewhere like that.
Anywhere.
It's everywhere besides America. America, out of all the places I travel, is the least when it comes to a culinary background or it's just basic.
It's younger. It's younger, and we are a melting pot, so we have all kind of different influences, which is fantastic. But no, there is a tremendous maturity in Europe and other countries, and pride in their culture. And I always said, like you or Bourdain, you know, people that travel the world would make outstanding secretaries of state, because the expression of people's culture is generally through their food, and they're very proud of it, and they walk it out front, you know, and that's a very important thing. And I think it's something that we should respect as Americans and not deride.
Sure.
Which I think, unfortunately, very many people do. And listen, we have to face the reality, and maybe it's a good thing. There's a lot of people that simply hate food. I've had people tell me, I had a good friend tell me, if I could take a pill just to survive, I would. I don't like to eat.
Understand that.
I don't like food. I think he's dead. I think his soul is dead.
That
soul
has to
died
be.
a long time ago.
You're soulless if you don't love food.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it like this, I have guys that I ride with, and we'll ride across the country, and we'll stop for lunch. Me stopping for lunch means since breakfast, I've been thinking about it, right?
Oh, sure.
So I'm on the bike, gas mile after gas stop after gas stop. I'm like, all right, lunch is coming up next. Yay. Where are we going to go? Next thing I know, we pull into the next gas stop, and guys are coming out with bags of potato chips and Slim Jims.
Eating,
And I go, I thought we were eating lunch. I am. We are. This is your fucking lunch.
Yeah,
This ain't lunch.
throw him out of the club.
Would you get busted?
For a Slim Jim.
This looks like prison food.
Got thrown
Why are
out
you
over
eating
Slim
this?
Jim.
Well, let's go. Look, there's a restaurant right there. I don't even care what's in it. It's better than that. You know what I mean? But some people just don't give a fuck.
They don't care.
They want quick, fast fuel, and they don't give a shit what it does to them or how it does. They don't have the connection to food as we do. And I think that's very important. Now, on your radio show, I'm sure you talk about all kinds of stuff, man. And every once in a while, I hear you talking about food and the connection with food and stuff.
And my co-host hates it, and I got to fight her. She doesn't like food. She makes fun. I don't want to see a picture of what you ate for supper. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, people exchange.
Just show it to you
She
anyway.
hates it.
Yeah.
I used to have something called Lawfare Kitchen, and I would talk about I hate bread, and I don't eat pasta. She's a
sad
perfect
life.
example, and
Of the
I
pill.
respect her because she's a good columnist, but she hates food.
Yeah.
and she hates talking about food. So every time I do it, I get the stink eye.
So don't call her for the food write-up.
Don't call her for the food write-up.
No,
it's
gonna be
like tomorrow.
Place sucks.
She's out, so I'm going to talk
You talk
about
about food.
olio di olivo. I got
Yes.
somebody sent, a local company is importing Sicilian olive oil. Maybe you could taste a little of it, but
Sure.
I want to talk about olive oil. I have people begging me to talk about food.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So that's why I led into this. So on your radio show, how often do you get people talking about food, or what's the reaction when you do bring it up on the radio? Do you notice a lot of interaction and
The
stuff?
listeners love it. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting there watching Stanley Tucci's show on National Geographic. He was in, I think he was in Tuscany, and I got an email from a listener. Hey, listen, Tucci's on now. It's really good. You should check it out. I have some people call up and say, hey, can you talk about olive oil some more so I can learn about it? Hey, I really like that feature. I think the vast majority of people do enjoy it. I think that they love cooking for their families, that a lot of people cook in different genres. We're in the South. Barbecue is a big deal. One day I started talking about, it's a bucket list for me to go to Franklin Barbecue in Texas, which is famous, right?
Uh-huh.
Phone rings off the hook. Everybody wants to talk about barbecue.
Right.
I've talked about pasta and simple tomato sauce. And when you were on that day was a big deal.
Yeah, that was a good.
People
That
loved
was a good
it.
show too. Yeah.
People love food.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to get back on there. We should have.
No, you should come.
We should,
We should come
something every
tomorrow.
quarter. We should do a Italian 101.
No, I
Italian
love that.
product 101.
No, I love that.
Just
And,
talking about teaching about the education that I have and the breakdown and stuff, and of course what you have combined would be crazy. I mean, we can go into all kinds of ingredients,
I
the
love
history
that.
of them, where they come from. It's what I do. Everything I base my food on is based off that history.
No,
So
I
it's
remember when you created the menu in the original Luce in Norfolk, and you went very methodically.
Yep.
It was a representation of the various regions. It was realistically crafted, knowing what we could import.
Sure.
Well, we're pretty
If
fortunate
I couldn't
here.
make it, I had to import it.
Yeah, but pretty much you could get, I think, the cingale, the broer, you had to
Yeah,
import.
and now I'm making that shit my own. Now.
Yeah, so, we'll go back, we'll
guanciale,
shoot a
the
fucking
guanciale.
pig 2 miles from here.
No, not that. But I'm saying I do the guanciale now.
We're
Oh,
stuck on that.
the guanciale, yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
Which you could make.
Yeah, because there's so many pig
and
farms
lardo?
around here. It's for lardo, same thing.
I was
that stuff.
watching. Actually, it was in during the Tucci show, but up in a particular town where they mine marble. There's one
That's in Tuscany. right
type
there,
of
yeah.
marble
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
that they can use to make the lardo because it's not porous.
Sure.
So they take it, the cut of the and they layer it with this marble and put a top on it like a tomb for
Yeah,
6
yeah,
months.
Sure.
And what comes out is just amazing. They
Killer,
use it like butter.
Right.
They'll have it on a crostini, They'll have it on.
It's absolutely delicious.
And that's
you can
just-
infuse it,
Yeah,
flavor
it's
it,
beautiful.
mix it with tallow.
Yeah,
all kinds
oh
of stuff.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's delicious. Really good.
So, but I remember when you did that, and it was representative. And this secondo menu is fantastic too. So I don't know. It's hard to communicate with someone who doesn't get it. But I think so many people get it. Just look at the success of the food industry.
It won't stop. It won't
No,
stop.
in
just keeps
media, every show, every station now, even station outside of the Food Network, stations that you would not traditionally associate with food media coverage. National Geographic, for God's sakes.
Right.
The History Channel.
Sure.
They're all because it is important with people. There's a resurgence of an interest in cooking and ingredients.
And that's a good thing. Like going back to what you were saying, where you
Yeah.
wish more people would cook. I think that is the case.
Yes.
It's
Oh, they
making it
do.
easier with social media and Instagram and all these
Getting
Instagram
inspired.
chefs
Right.
who are putting out their, our friend Matt Price is really good at this. He'll put out some phenomenal recipes that you could just watch him make. And,
can do
and-
at home.
And
Yeah.
good at home. Then you can get on his YouTube or you can get on his Instagram.
Wonderful.
Email him and he'll help you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
But people can
Yeah.
make these things now much faster. And the restaurants that are out there now, unlike myself, are going the quick route to try and make money to pay their bills. Me, I'm not going to ever do that. I'll shut the place down before I have to sacrifice quality for quantity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And if there's more quantity needed to pay the bills, then I guess I'm not going to be able to make it. We're going to have to slow down and figure something out. But I'm not going to destroy my food, my recipe, my beliefs
No.
in putting out a shitty product.
Yeah.
The sous vide, which is the slow cooking
Under time.
under time. And I remember the pulpo, the octopus served here in that way. It's wonderful. And the love that goes into it. it's important to me. It's important, and my wife, who, she was a single mom, raised a couple of kids, husband left, and she cooks.
Yeah. She's vegetarian now, no?
Yeah.
So
But-
that's even a more challenging thing for you, not being one. So being in order to make that food good, you have to have understanding and
It
respect
gives
for
me
that.
an excuse to make 2 dishes.
Exactly. Plus, it gives you an excuse to learn how to cook something
Yeah,
new.
so I'll make a linguine alla vongole for me occasionally. I'm not all the time, and then I'll make it for her with a little bit of oil, some garlic, or maybe I'll take eggplant and I'll roast it, and I'll make that pasta with eggplant. And once in a while, maybe she'll have a little bit of cheese because, listen, it's from the heart, and that's what we do. And she's into it, where when we go overseas, she knows what good food is.
Sure.
And she won't eat anything she'll take a forkful. If she doesn't like it, boom, that's it.
That's it.
She's not going to eat it because it was put in front of her.
Right.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Sure.
And she loves this place.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, she does. She's great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, how can we can talk about this shit all day long. And is there anything else that you want to ask?
No, I this is like the kind of relaxed kickback conversation where I get to just listen to both of you
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah,
what
she's
you
got a
love,
beautiful
which is
smile.
which is
she
great.
does. So we can that's where the ratings come from.
Yeah, and the
So
dimples.
she
just-
makes
yeah,
she
I'm
makes,
just-
no matter what I say, she makes it look good.
Yeah.
So I could just say the worst shit in the world and just put the camera on her and forget what I'm talking about.
Keep what was it?
Smile.
Robert Plant said it.
Smile and wave.
I think it was Robert Plant said it when they were filming a concert. He said, "Keep the camera on the money."
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was
Money,
Robert
monies,
Plant said, "Yeah,
whichever.
keep the camera on the money."
Depends where you're looking.
Because they were starting to highlight the drama or something. He said, "No, keep it on the money." Oh, so,
There you go.
and
But yeah,
she
I
made
mean, locally, I mean, I think a lot of people, I mean, most people do your show, but where can they find everything to find and listen and support you back?
I'm on from 6 to 9 every day on AM 850, WTAR 96.5, the Sunday Gravy podcast that I do with Lucky Luciano. We're trying to get it to take off, but it's so saturated. It's just the
Yeah.
two
It
of
is
us.
saturated.
We're
We
not
can tell
set
you
up.
that ourselves.
Tony will be our first guest. We're trying to set up a remote situation where if he's not able to come in
You
live,
can do it.
we can do
Zoom,
it
yeah.
to get Tony. And because we do, he was employed before he went to the police department. He was employed as an executive chef up in at the Picatinny Arsenal. He's trained, and so he loves to cook. And he's really a fan of yours. He comes in here with his lady all the time and raves about the place. So Sunday Gravy podcast, and I'm a lawyer, but you're not interested in that. I practice with the firm of Bright Beniazin. I'm a retired. I spent 5 years with the Norfolk Sheriff's Office as their staff attorney. I was a sworn captain. So I'm sort of a Walter Mitty,
I love it.
.
Well, I appreciate you supporting him because we knew he could cook way back before that. But
Yeah.
when he decided to finally go through with it, I mean, we
I
all
knew.
felt the same. We knew
I
it
knew.
was going to work. Yeah.
I knew. I'll never forget the words in the conference room. He was auditioning, which he didn't have to do because I already knew him. But my wife, and she said, the words "failure is not an option," and the way he communicated that, she said, "There's no risk in this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's no
No,
risk."
failure wasn't
you.
an option. Still isn't.
Yep.
Still not. We're still. You're still,
And we
still
saved
going.
the local 7-Elevens from the mask and the
Right,
briefcase. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Thanks for that.
anyway, with that being said, no, you've been a great friend. You've been a great help. You've been a great assistant and partner and just a straight up inspiration.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything you've done. You've helped me in the courtroom quite often as well. He is a lawyer. As far as all your cop endeavors, that's all on you. That's
Yeah, I thought it was going to run. I called him
your
up. I
shit,
said,
not mine.
"It's a calling. I hope the fact that I'm wearing a badge that we can still." He said, "Come on." He said, "Of course we can."
Well, that happened after though.
Yeah, it happened
It
after.
happened
I
after,
didn't
so-
ask his permission, but
Yeah, no, that happened after.
but
So
afterwards, I said, "Listen, I got sworn. It's always been a thing. I wanted to do public service.
I said, hey, that's your
Can I
business,
still
buddy.
consider you a friend?" But he was hesitant, because.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that he did not.
No, it's great, man. You
Yeah.
do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
Listen, at the end of the day, we go home and go to sleep,
Yeah.
and that's the end of it. So, and then we eat great food. That's
We
the
eat
way it
great
works.
food, and we
So-
cook
Here's to
great
that,
food, and we
yes.
love great food, and we love who we are.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Mike, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you
time,
for
bro.
the
I
honor.
appreciate you. Ciao for now.
Ciao for
Got
now.
everything. Ciao for now. That's
Arrivederla.